Well. Look at what we have here.
You're back.
This is episode 21 of Going the JC Route. I'm JC. That is not the Birdman you see opposite me today.
No.
Our third wheel has replaced the second wheel.
Alive and well.
Feels weird. We've been gone so long. It feels weird.
It feels really weird, honestly. Feels weird being home. You know, I have been home this year so far just over 2 weeks total.
And we're what? 60 days into the year?
I'm sorry?
Almost? And we're what? 59 days into the year?
Just about. The rest of the time I'm getting out of a suitcase is in a hotel. Actually, multiple hotels. I've literally been to all corners. I've been from
What's your favorite thing to do at this point?
What?
I say it must be your favorite thing to do at this point.
Live out of suitcases. It sucks.
Absolutely.
And the one thing that I've learned also is hotel breakfast not as good as you think. There was There was one hotel that I was at in Atlanta. You know the little pouch deal that you get your key cards in? Well,
yep.
This hotel not only served free breakfast, they served free dinner. But It wasn't bad. The dinner actually was not that bad. It was just kind of the same three things. Like one night would be chicken Alfredo, next night would be pork sliders, next night would be like meatballs and potatoes. Then they would have hot dogs off in the corner, like for anybody who didn't want was like on the menu for the evening. Mm-hmm. But in that little pouch deal, in the key cards, you also got a night 3 complimentary drinks.
Nice.
I did not use that a whole lot for obvious reasons, but they also had
You should have used it. Dude,
I would not have been able to function. I mean, with all the stress I was under, it probably would have been nice. Hello. But I regretfully say I did not use it. Oh, and they also had like free popcorn too, like in an actual popcorn machine. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't too bad.
Fancy.
Yeah.
But so really today, what we're doing is really we're just kind of catching up because I know Chris and I have done a lot of chatting over the last few weeks since you've been gone, and we've kind of got our opinions on a lot of things. But I want to get your opinion on things because Chris and I we can talk about OU and Arkansas all we want. And we can talk about Texas to an extent, but realistically, you're the Texas guy. So we want the Texas opinion on things.
The Texas opinion.
What I was telling you is kind of last week, Chris and I talked OU and Texas to the SEC a little bit because that was made official back half of 2 weeks ago, about 10 days ago now. And we're going to be there next year. So the question that I posed to Chris, because I know you for a fact you didn't watch the episode last week, is I asked 2 questions, okay?
Okay.
If you could make out your ideal... let's start here. So really the discussion that the SEC is having right now is the discussion between a 1-7 structure like they have now, where they've got their one kind of annual opponents that's guaranteed, and then the 7 other opponents, and a 3-6 structure, which is you've got 3 teams you play every year, and then the other 6 rotate. For you, I think when we move to 16, the 3-6 structure just makes too much sense not to go with. But then again, I'm not the commissioner of the SEC, right? For whatever reason. I should be, though. If you could, the 2 questions I posed to Chris was, if you could have your ideal 3 opponents, who would your 3 consistent opponents be? And then the follow-up question was, who do you think they'll actually be?
So, first off, I agree. I think the 3-6, right? That's what it's called.
Right. I think that would be three annual opponents you play every year. The other 6 rotate. I really want. What was that?
What was the first one again? It was like 1 and 7.
So you have one annual opponent that's fixed, like OU and Texas, for example, would play each other, and then the other 7 rotate. That's kind of what the SEC does now, give or take some. I feel like when you move to 16 teams, the 3-6 model makes too much sense. I really wish we would do the 4 divisions or the 4 pods model, where we've got R3 and then every other year we rotate 2 from each pod, because that way over a 4-year education, that means every player on the football team plays every team twice, once at home and once away. But the SEC sounds like they're not going to do that.
Yeah, so I guess, so going back to the question about the 3 teams, I would probably say OU, A&M, even though I know they don't want to. Even though I know they don't want to.
Is this what you want? Or do you think it will be?
This is what I want. And what I think, I also think it would be. Because, well, one, I think it's a definite either way with our history between our 2 teams being Red. It's Red River. It draws way too much that we would. It's the golden hat. We're gonna play for that every year in the Cotton.
Right.
That's just, and it's during the state fair time too. Like that just has to happen. Then what I would like and what I think will happen is Texas will play A&M annually, because
there's no point in OU and Texas moving to the SEC if that does not happen.
Exactly. That alone, and just the history between the 2 teams, and how long has this been a conversation, like between the 2 schools?
Since A&M left.
Yeah, since A&M left, like both schools, both fans of both teams, and even neutral fans want to see this matchup happen again. I think it draws too much, and I saw the schedule. I think in 2024 we play them on the 26th, so that's right after Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Well, they haven't released the football schedule next year, I don't believe.
But I thought I saw the schedule for 2024, like who our opponents would be in theory.
As far as I'm aware, they haven't released that, but then again, I haven't been looking too well.
But I saw anyway.
People are releasing hypotheticals, but
right. I think I saw on 2024. I'm pulling up my phone here. Yeah, we would play. Okay, we would play A&M on a Tuesday, November 26th. That doesn't make any. Maybe it was the 29th. That's a Friday, the day after Thanksgiving.
I'm seeing Thursday the 28th, which is on Thanksgiving. And I'm pretty sure that's what's happening before they left was was on Thanksgiving that night.
Yes.
Texas A&M.
Yeah, UT and A&M used to always play each other on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So I think that alone, the history and just the build-up for so long, that'll be annually. The other one, I would probably have to say Arkansas. That's more of what I think versus what I want. I could care less who else we play annually. I just want to play OU and A&M annually. But what I think, even though Texas doesn't care too much about Arkansas, that's like Arkansas's like kryptonite. That's their enemy, because it's been Tuck Texas according to them.
Yeah.
So
for reference, what I told Chris last week, I think since I've thought about it since then, I've kind of changed my mind a little bit.
Sure.
I think I'm pretty confident. I want Texas and Arkansas, and I feel pretty confident we're gonna get those 2. I started off by telling Chris, I want Texas, Vanderbilt, and Missouri. give you the easy ones. But realistically, I wholeheartedly believe Texas will get, or OU will get Texas and Arkansas. So the question becomes that third team. And I would love to get something like Missouri, because they're never like perennially very good in football. They're all right, but they're mediocre. But I think I would really like to get a team on the east side of the SEC, like Florida. One, because traveling to Gainesville every other year would be a lot of fun. But also, that would help us in the recruiting side of things. Florida is a state outside of Texas, California. Like,
that's a big football state.
Within the U.S., Florida is top 3 in football recruits to go with Texas and California. So when Oklahoma plays in Florida, you get to play in front of those recruits without having to travel very far. So I feel like a game like Florida or Georgia, I'd rather have Florida than Georgia, but I feel like a game like that would be very, very beneficial, not only on the recruiting side of things, but there's a little bit of history there too. So that makes it fun also. And then it's not going to be a bad game every year.
Yeah.
So I think something like that would be happening, just because that way we've got our two kind of regional opponents, Texas and Arkansas, and then we've got that kind of one cross-conference rival, if you will. Kind of like, what is it, like Auburn plays Georgia every year, something like that. And that's kind of where I think with Texas, I think OU and Texas A&M are a given. But I feel like also Texas would get a cross-conference rival. Somebody like Tennessee, like who's the real UT every year. That'd be pretty fun.
That'd be really cool, yeah.
Something like that, right? But I think that's where we would head. Get the two local ones and then the one cross-conference. So here's another question that I posed to Chris. And we really got into this for a little bit. And it's based on the knowledge we have now of what the team is currently doing. The team is in Texas football now. Where would you rank that program within the SEC? Based on what we know about the program now and coming off of the season's results we just had.
So let me pull. That way I don't forget anybody here.
Okay. And for reference, I put OU at 8, I think. Okay. 7 or 8 out of 16. And I think Chris had Arkansas at like 9 or 10.
Arkansas needs to be at the bottom. Okay. So let me see here. So I think I would put Georgia number 1.
Okay. Yep.
Alabama's number 2.
Fair. So for me, I had Georgia, Bama.
Then I'd probably go LSU.
I had Tennessee, then LSU.
Oh, okay, fair. Yeah, Tennessee is hiding from me. Tennessee, then LSU, so that's 4. Okay. Then I would go. Honestly, no bias. You know what? Would you put Texas at 5?
So here's where I struggle because Texas has my big thing leading into this past season was I need to see continual progress from Texas. They went from 5-7 to 8-5. Now the next step is, hey, you need to do 9-3, 10-2 to see progress, and that hey, now we know we're building the right way towards the SEC. They're also doing really, really well in recruiting. So far, I feel like we're on the right track. Those 4 teams we talked about, Georgia, Bama, Tennessee, LSU, I think those are the givens at the top right now. But it's who's after that. Because the next highest ranked teams were Mississippi State and South Carolina. I see is for me going into next season, South Carolina's bringing back a good amount of production. Like they've got Spencer Rattler coming back. Mississippi State's got a whole new staff. So I would probably put Texas above Mississippi State. But it's like A&M was awful this year, but they still got one of the top 3 most talented rosters in the country, and they're getting a new offensive coordinator coming in. So it's hard for me. If I had to tell you, I'd say as of right now, Texas is above Vanderbilt, Missouri. I'd say Florida too, because Florida had a bad year and they're not recruiting particularly well. Above Kentucky. They're above Auburn.
Above Arkansas.
Above Arkansas, that's fair. Based on last year's results, I'll just go ahead and say Texas is above Texas A&M because you had better results and your recruiting is comparable now for 2 years in a row.
Our recruiting right now are better than right now as it stands.
I mean, they were better than A&M this past year, but A&M, if I remember, let me look. So in 2023, Texas was 3, A&M was 15. Okay, and then in 2022, A&M was 1, Texas was 5. 2021, A&M was 8, Texas was 15. So you guys on average are pretty close.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to keep a track of. So that's what I'm saying is, through this past season, based on the track record of recruiting over the last 3 years, recruiting is comparable, and Texas got better results. That's why I would put Texas ahead of A&M as it stands. I'll put Texas ahead of South Carolina right now, based on recruiting, and then I'll put them ahead of Mississippi State because I don't know what the heck they're gonna do. So honestly, the only question for me right now is Ole Miss, because they're going to be good again. The only problem is who's their quarterback going to be next year. They've got a returning quarterback in Jackson Dart. They've got one of the best young running backs in the country in Quinshon Judkins. They still got Zach Evans on campus. They've got good receivers. The question is their defense going to get better? And then they're still recruiting pretty well. So
and Lane Kiffin, that's a question.
Right. So my main thing is, do I put the somewhat of a the question for me is, do I trust who Ole Miss will put out in quarterback more than I trust Quinn Ewers at this point in time?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're looking at either a returning Jackson Dart, they transferred in Garrett Nussmeier, which he's going to be their freshman. They transferred in Spencer Sanders. So who's going to be the starters? It could be Jackson Dart or Spencer Sanders. My head leads me to believe it's going to be Spencer Sanders since he's in his last year of eligibility, because he wouldn't transfer if he's not going to play. But that being said, we know Spencer Sanders likes to Spencer Sanders. He's good for a lot of things, but he's going to turn the ball over when it matters.
Right. He's going to, whenever it's convenient, he's going to turn the ball over.
But my thing is just with Texas, the chemistry between Quinn Ewers and the receivers isn't where I'd like it to be yet. Right. And you're losing first 2-day running backs, and you're losing a first running back in Bijan Robinson, and you're losing a top 3-round running back in Roschon Johnson. So
I like the guys behind him, like Keelan Robinson, and then I think it's what's his name?
It's Keelan Robinson. It's Jonathan Brooks. You got CJ Baxter coming in.
Cedric, number one. I mean, Cedric back. I mean, it's we got to wait and see, right? But on paper, he's the number one.
My problem is with Jonathan Brooks, Jaden Blue, Keelan Robinson. It's fine for fans to like them. As of now, Sark has shown no trust in them. Like, Jaden Blue got 0 touches in their bowl game this year after Sark raved about him in practice all week.
That's true. I mean,
when we talk about actions mean more than words, that's the exact freaking situation. Like, you can talk about him all you want, but if you're not putting him in the game, then what is he really doing?
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm hesitant is at this point in time, I would probably put Ole Miss ahead of Texas because you've got a known commodity one way or another at running back in Quinshon Judkins and Zach Evans. And whoever their quarterback is going to be, at this moment in time, I'd probably trust more than Quinn Ewers, even though I'll openly admit I believe Quinn Ewers' upside is way higher than any of those guys, obviously.
And it helps that, I mean, he does have Xavier Worthy coming back. He has Jonte Cook coming in. I might butcher the name. Is it Adonai Mitchell?
Adonai Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell.
A.D. Mitchell.
The problem isn't the talent. Texas has a top 3 or top 5 most talented roster in the country. My problem is, how is the running game going to support Quinn Ewers going into this year?
Yeah.
And then how is his chemistry with the receivers going to have? Because that's where he struggled, was chemistry with his receivers at times this year, and he had an all-star running game to support him. Yeah. If you don't know what the chemistry is going to be, and you don't know what your running game is going to be, well, what's your offense going to be realistically?
Right, that's true. I mean, we'll see. I think, and also we got to see some improvement out of Ewers too, just as a whole. Like,
absolutely,
he can sling it for sure, but we got to, hit him in the hands versus, just throwing it deep just to show off.
There is plenty of quarterbacks over the history of football that can sling it for miles. But at the end of the day, can you grasp the game mentally, and can you be accurate with the ball? And that's where a lot of people fail. Well, the dude's 20, right? He's still young as hell. And we've got to see that development mentally through the game so that the overall team improves. And without that, well, they're not going to improve.
And if he doesn't do well, then it's how good is Arch going to be?
So. That's the one thing that's going to hurt him mentally is if he comes out first couple weeks, especially when you're jumping into Tuscaloosa week 2, if he bombs, fans are calling for Arch right away.
I know, and that's the thing is during this springtime, I'm hoping with Arch coming in, that'll motivate Quinn Ewers mentally to work harder than he already is to try and get better, because he knows on the bench is this kid with all the hype in the world coming out of high school. So we'll see.
You still got Malik Murphy there, who's had a year in the system and is still freakishly athletic. Right. He's never going to touch the field for Texas, but
you think he's going to Texas?
Probably, yes.
Malik Murphy, yeah.
Which, I mean, come on down. You can be our backup.
You're fine. You got Jackson Arnold as your backup.
That's what I'm saying. He'll be our backup after this year.
After this year. Okay. I get it. I was like, wait a minute. You've got DG.
Yeah, no. We're going to have DG paired with Jackson Arnold this year. But then I would like to see a more experienced quarterback come in next year, because we're going to have Jackson Arnold starting next year and probably another true freshman recruit coming in behind him. So that's where I'd kind of like to see a transfer come in to kind of add some depth and experience to the room.
Jackson Arnold's going to start next year, but DG.
Oh yeah. No, DG's gone after this year, I'm pretty sure.
Oh. I thought you were talking about in 23.
No.
Okay.
This is his last year of eligibility, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, my bad. I misunderstood. And then who's the running back this year for OU gonna be? Is it Farouk?
No, Farouk's a receiver. He's probably gonna be our number 1 receiver this year.
Marvin?
Marvin's in the NFL draft, dude.
Marvin didn't come back?
No, he declared. Fingers crossed the Cowboys draft him in the 3rd or 4th round.
That's what that explains it, because I saw like a list of like the top 10 wide receivers in college football. I think Xavier Worthy was number 2. I was like, and Mims wasn't in the top 10, and I was like, what?
Yeah,
all right, that explains it.
Our running backs are going to be 2 true sophomores, essentially. Javonte Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk are 2 young bucks that were highly recruited last year. Now they've got a year in the system. They're going to kind of spearhead that, along with Marcus Major and a couple others. But Javonte Barnes is the real deal. He's going to be really good. Marcus Major, I just need to see more consistency from him, because he can be that big body punishing back that we need. And then Gavin Sawchuk, he'll just burn you. He's one of those backs that's a little bit smaller, but he can definitely run between the tackles. He can also jump out to the slot and burn you. So he's a lot of fun to watch.
You think?
But that's the main thing. We had a couple transfer receivers come in. Andrell Anthony from Michigan is with us now. Who else? I can't even freaking.
I'm pulling it up now.
Our freaking roster transfer in this year, which is
Jaquazi Petaway.
He's a true freshman, but he's a summer ad, so he's probably not going to factor in this year.
Here we go. Now I'm on transfers. Blake Smith, tight end.
Andrew Anthony, receiver. I think that might be it. Yeah. Austin Stogner came back. He'll help in our receiving game a little bit. But that's about it. I'm expecting Blake Smith to be one of those kind of inline blocking tight end types to help kind of with our running game. Because since Braden Willis went to the draft this year, so I think that will be the case. So I am kind of worried about our receivers a little bit, but I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like Texas. We're in the same boat. We need our running game to make sure they're useful.
Sure.
Do you think our defense will also take a big step up this year? We've got a lot of talent coming in on that side of the ball.
That's what I was looking at. Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. I think the team, like, wouldn't it be funny? Our last year in the Big 12, we both go to the Big 12 championship.
That, if I'm being completely honest, that's what needs to happen, because I don't need teams saying, well, you couldn't do anything in the Big 12, so you're not going to do anything in the SEC.
Honestly, yeah. Especially the TCU fan base after this year. Like, don't even get me started.
They're not going to do much this year, regardless either.
No. TCU had their 5 minutes of fame, and they're going to get brought down back to earth. I hope it was nice.
Yeah. But in reality, not only do we have a little bit more experience, both of us, as a team, so we should be better this year than last year, the schedules have set up nicely for us. I don't think either one of us got overly negatively affected from the schedule. Like, overall, they both set up pretty nicely. So minus like probably one stretch for each team. But so that's where it is. It's like we've got to put it on the field so we can both be in that championship game and kind of say, hey, Big 12, yeah, you're losing your 2 big boys. Like, we've got to prove that this year.
Yeah, we do. I agree with that. Yeah, Marvin's going to the draft. I was reading about it just now for a minute. Huh? He's 5'11".
He's not the biggest guy, and he's not the fastest guy, but his catch radius is massive, so that helps him. And he's a really cerebral player, so teams will like him because he plays bigger than he actually is. He's athletic and he's smart, so people will like him because of that.
That's what I was about to say, dude. Like, he doesn't play like he's 5'11".
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually, you brought something up, kind of moving into, I guess, the NFL draft, if you want to just talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
So I pulled up the 2023 draft prospect rankings here. And before I speak, because there's an ad over on the side of the browser, I'm going to put these on so we don't have a copyright issue.
Okay.
Hold on. Before I speak. We go to Bluetooth.
The Mavs lost. Sick.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
They lost again, huh?
Go figure.
What else is new? Okay, there we go. So, wide receivers, which is something the Cowboys definitely need. Just, or does, they're not going to do anything in free agency. Quentin Johnston is number one. Would you agree with that? James?
I would probably put Jackson Smith and Jigba or Jordan Addison above him. But that's like the top three for me.
Jordan Addison and then is number two. Jackson Smith and Jigba, the best name in football, is number three. Zay's Flowers is 4. Keyshawn Butte is 5. Josh Downs 6. Jalen Hyatt 7. Nathaniel Dell 8. Tyler Scott 9. And then my boy from SMU, Rashee Rice, is 10.
I think what would be ideal for the Cowboys is do a defensive player in the first round. Like I've seen a lot of Siaki Ika projected to the Cowboys, which I like because he's a massive interior defensive lineman. And then if we could draft somebody like Jalen Hyatt in the second round, I think that'd be really cool. Or if we could do like Siaka Ika in the first round, we do like if there's like a safety or somebody that falls in the second round, do that, and then do like Marvin Mims in the third round. I feel like that would be optimal.
So, I don't disagree. For the first round, I just looked at some mock drafts.
Unless somebody like Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith and Jigba, they don't fall to us at 24, whatever we're at.
Yeah. I mean, that could happen. Like, have a whole repeat of the CD Lamb deal.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm seeing, James, Ryan Wilson has us taking Jalen Hyatt
in the first round.
In the first round.
Interesting. Okay. Chris
Trapasso and Josh Edwards both have us taking Drew Sanders. And then Kyle Stackpole has us taking Bijan Robinson. Dude, if that,
So, for me, I feel like the first round for Jalen Hyatt's a little high. Don't know why. Do want to blend the cop this year, but it seems high to me. I understand the Drew Sanders pick, like Arkansas, Jerry Jones, and Drew Jones is a great linebacker. I'd say he's more of a top second round pick and not late first, but I don't think we need a linebacker right away. Unless we plan on getting rid of Leighton Vander Esch and moving some other pieces around. I feel like linebacker isn't top of need. I would just wait until a later round to draft a linebacker. That's me. I'm okay with Bijan Robinson. Assuming we re-signed Tony Pollard and did something with Zeke. Sorry.
Yeah, we would re-sign Pollard, let either trade Zeke or let Zeke walk, and then figure out what to do with Dak, because Lord knows Stephen Jones has been flapping his gums about signing him to an extension. That's for a later conversation.
Realistically, I'm fine with Dak. I just feel like better money can be spent for $15 million a year instead of Zeke getting 2 yards in a cloud of dust.
Oh yeah, dude. Zeke's. I love Zeke. I thank him for his service, but it is time to move on.
I'm not going to pay you $15 million a year to get 2 yards of carry. Sorry.
I want to go back to something.
You're not Brandon Jacobs or whatever else the dude is. Like you're not that big boy.
The thing is, teams that unless you've got Brady or Mahomes, or former Brady, now Mahomes, that more than often succeed, have okay to average to good quarterbacks and a phenomenal team around them, where like quarterbacks are just like a pretty average.
I saw this statistic. It was a graphic that went out right before the divisional round, and it was showing every team's quarterback remaining. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe every single quarterback, except maybe one, were all younger than Dak.
What? That's pretty.
If I'm assuming I'm not wrong, Dak was like the oldest quarterback in the divisional round. Because if you think about it, in the NFC, you had Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, you had Daniel Jones, Dak, of course, in the NFC. AFC, you had Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and who the Chiefs play in the divisional round? Trevor Lawrence. So Dak is the oldest quarterback, and performed probably the worst.
Yeah, he performed the worst.
So
that's why
and the thing is, unless that's the trend that the NFL is going with, is younger, talented quarterbacks because they cost less to have the better, more talented team around them. Unless you've got the generational talent at quarterback, i.e., Brady, Rodgers,
Mahomes.
Yeah, but he still falls into that younger, more talented quarterback category.
Okay, yeah.
Even though he's the highest paid quarterback, he fully deserves that.
Right.
So
yeah, I agree with that. And
it's difficult.
So you know what this means?
What?
Trade Dak and then go get Jimmy G.
No.
No?
That's a step down. Guaranteed.
But
now,
hear
me out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Trade for Trey Lance. Now,
I'm not opposed.
I'm not saying it'd be the best thing in the world. That probably wouldn't solve all our problems. But you would intrigue me.
Agree. That would be intriguing. Like you said, it wouldn't solve all our problems, but it would definitely shake the waters. We'll put it that way.
We're gonna rock the boat.
Yeah, we'll really rock that boat. Two. On the topic of quarterback stuff, what is going to happen to Daniel Jones? Because I've been looking at these mock drafts. Some have had the Giants taking C.J. Stroud.
At what pick?
8.
I'm not convinced he's going to fall that far.
No, some
because read the teams. So the Giants are picking at 8. Read the teams, the first 7 teams.
We've got
Chicago's got number 1. They're not drafting a quarterback. They have Justin Fields. Number 2 is the Texans, I believe. They will draft a quarterback.
Either C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young.
Who's 3?
The Cardinals.
They're not drafting a quarterback.
No. Then I've got Indianapolis.
They need a quarterback.
They need a quarterback. I've got them seeing anywhere from Bryce Young to Will Levis.
Yeah, that's the one that still questions me. NFL scouts are like falling in love with his arm. You know, and one of those quarterbacks that can sling it down the field. Just he was not good this year. I know he was hurt a bit, but he was not good this year compared to last year.
No,
I just don't buy it. Like Bryce Young is a winner.
Anthony Richardson.
What?
Anthony Richardson. They have him. One draft has him going number 1 overall, which I do not believe happening.
You see, that to me, that's another measurables and upside draft pick. Then again, that's what Patrick Mahomes was an upside draft pick, and look what happened. He hit the upside. I just don't buy that those two guys, Levis and Richardson, are better than. They're just not better than Stroud and Young.
Bryce Young. No
they're
way.
not.
One, Kyle Stackpole.
And so that's what I'm saying. I see both of those guys going in the top 5 picks.
Kyle Stackpole has the Bears taking Bryce Young, so I'm discrediting his draft altogether. Why would you take him?
Yeah, like they're not drafting.
Why would you take him except to trade him? I mean, I don't get that. You don't need him.
Well, I do know there is movement and growing belief that the Bears are going to trade the first overall pick. If that happens, things get interesting. But as it stands, they're not drafting a quarterback.
3 mock drafts that I'm looking at right now have the Bears trading the pick to the Colts.
So they're getting ahead of the Texans, so they get their pick of the quarterbacks.
Correct.
So that kind of just tells you, hey, they're going to take a quarterback, whichever one's left, if they don't, assuming they don't trade ahead of the Texans.
Right.
So that means C.J. Stroud's not falling to the Giants. What will piss me off, though, is don't the Eagles have like the 5th overall pick?
No, they have the 10th, and everything I'm looking at has them going defense. From Christian Gonzalez, who's a corner from Oregon, to Trey Wilson, the edge from Texas Tech, Devin Witherspoon, the corner from Illinois, or Miles Murphy, the lineman from Clemson.
See, I can see secondary for them. I feel like they don't necessarily need a front 7 player. What I would hate to see is with the 10th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles draft Bijan Robinson. That's the one glaring weak spot on their team is running back. Like, don't get me wrong, Boston Scott's cool.
Miles Sanders,
okay, but like you get a legitimate first-round running back and Bijan Robinson adding to that team. Give me a break. Like, whoa, calm down, slow down.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, honestly.
So that's the frustration.
Other
kind of like them getting Jordan Davis this year. That pissed me off. I wanted him on the Cowboys.
Other drafts have, if Bijan falls and the Cowboys don't take him, other drafts have the Eagles taking Bijan at 30.
I believe it.
That's what I'm looking at, yeah. So, and that's something else, James. You know, if Bijan falls, does Jerry pull the middle finger card and say, up yours Philly, we're taking Bijan?
If he doesn't, I'd be pissed. Because
I know.
It's the same thing what happened with CeeDee Lamb, right?
The Eagles
were like 2 or 3 picks behind us, and we're like, yeah, right, we're not letting that guy fall to you. We're not stupid.
And look what the Eagles did to us when they took Goddard when we needed a tight end.
Exactly.
So I could see them doing something like that. So
yeah,
that's kind of my 2 cents.
But I know. I'll let you go real quick, but I know we kind of want to wrap it up. We've been going 45 minutes already.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Last thing I want to talk about. Shifting to hockey. Can the Stars, please, for the love of all that is holy, win in regulation? And then if they don't, when they get to overtime, don't just shut off.
Can they win it all? Can they win it all right now?
Dude, they have chosen the wrong time to go on a slump.
Well, I mean, there's never like a good time to go on a slump. I'd rather them go on it now than like right at the end of the season when they're rolling into the playoffs. But they've got to come out of it quick.
I know.
There's like what, 22 games left?
22 games is what they have left.
They're running out of time to get back on the horse. So
I know.
It needs to happen. I just don't know what happened. They stopped scoring and their defense is leaky. So something needs to happen.
Otter, bro. Otter made two uncharacteristic.
I don't think it's Otter that much because I just don't get.
Well, here, James. I was at the game.
I just can't get behind the belief that it's on Otter because knowing what happens when he's got good defense in front of him, he's like the best goaltender in the NHL. He's already one of the best goaltenders in the NHL.
Agreed.
But if you get people in front of you that hang you out to dry, there's only so much you can do.
Agreed.
And I feel like that's a lot of what's happened this year. Is he's only so much superhuman. You can't have defenders leaving you out to dry consistently like they have this year.
I don't disagree at all. In fact, I agree 100%. The only thing that I saw, and that even I was at the game last night, and I saw two very uncharacteristic mistakes of him. The first one, which was the most profound, was a right winger on the Canucks came in and shot it, and he cleared it out with his pad off to the left. If you're looking at Otter to the left, he literally fed it to the left winger. It was Colson, I think, and it was just a bury. And it's like, the hell? What kind of clearance was that? And then the other thing last night is he let in a really weak, bad angle goal that should not have gone in at all. But it's a tight race, man.
That may have just been a bad night from Otter. But it's one of those things where we can't allow that kind of negativity to seep through the team, or it's just going to keep snowballing on itself. We got to make sure we step out of this one way or another, or it's going to continue to snowball in a bad way.
Right. And they're first in their division. We're first in the Central, but we got to keep it. We're
1 point off of first in the West.
I know. It's just, you keep playing like this, though, you ain't going to be in this position to be in the
playoffs.
So is that your take, though? Is that like your rant?
No. There's 2 points I wanted to talk through. One is OU softball.
Okay.
I've got a bone to pick with the voters and the rankings and Jen Schroeder. And Jen Schroeder specifically. Because so going into this year, there's a clip of Jen Schroeder talking through on some kind of podcast, and she's like, I don't think the Sooners are gonna be the big bad Sooners that they always have been, hitting 80 bajillion home runs. They may hit 50 bajillion home runs, but they're not gonna be the big bad Sooners. Then, the season gets kicked off. Well, and so here's the reference. Jen Schroeder is a UCLA alum. And so going into the season, through last week, OU was 8-1. We lost to Baylor. Gross. UCLA was 12-0. So after that loss to Baylor, OU lost their number 1 overall ranking for the first time in like 2 years to UCLA. And did not take that lightly. We played in a tournament with UCLA this past weekend. OU played 5 games. They went 5-0 with 4-run rules. The last game of which was a game against UCLA, number 1 versus number 2. And OU won 14-0 in 5 innings.
What the hell?
And with 6 home runs hit. So I thank the Baylor Bears for awakening the beast. The rest of college softball is pissed off at them for saying, why the hell would you do that? But don't forget it. OU is still OU, and good luck. Because when they're pissed off, they are not going to lose.
Sure.
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And I need to find it, but I don't know if they've gotten back to the number 1 overall ranking. They should, because if they're not, that's ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. Anytime you beat the quote unquote number 1 overall team, like, yeah, they're back to number 1. Okay, cool.
Right?
Rightfully so. Anytime you beat the number 1 team that decisively, it should not be close. It just should not be.
I agree, man.
So, that being said, the more you fuck around, the more you're finna find out.
Agreed.
And when it comes to OU softball, you do not want to fuck around, because you will find out.
I agree with that.
And I guarantee when it comes to Big 12 play, OU's not going to lose to Baylor again.
Probably not. I don't think they'll lose more than, 3 games all season.
I think last year we lost 4 or 5 total. I would say we probably do not lose more than that.
Yeah. Ryan, are you a softball fan? Yeah. Like softball. Oh, okay.
There's one other thing I want to cover before we get out of here. And you're going to be like, what the hell?
Then I have a rant.
You go first.
I go first? Okay. So, she has heard this time and time and time again. But I have to say it. I have to say it every time, because this fucking organization just continues to find a way to annoy the shit out of me.
What did Jerry Jones do now?
Let me start with this. The Dallas Stars, as a franchise,
Ooh.
like to improve. The Dallas Mavericks, trade for Kyrie Irving, like to improve. The Texas Rangers, Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, Jacob deGrom, getting pitching, like to improve. I am convinced the Cowboys like to stay in mediocrity, especially during the offseason, not sign anybody except for Brandon Carr way back when, which we saw how that worked out, and sit and loathe in how they are the number 1 sports franchise in the world versus trying to prove to get better, and toy with the idea of how Grandpa says, I like CJ Stroud. Shut the fuck up, Grandpa. You are not going to get CJ Stroud in the draft. And what annoys me even more is how your son comes out and says that he's got such great faith in Prescott that he wants to sign him to an extension, which even more so irritates the fuck out of me, because your son just basically said that you have no interest in CJ Stroud, that you're just talking out of your ass, and your son is equally as an idiot for wanting to re-sign an overpaid, underachieving, underperforming quarterback to just steal all your money. To Dak's credit, he is good at robbing the Joneses. But my point is that it is a dumpster fire, and the owners and the family that owns the Cowboys are just so irritating that it is honestly so hard to be a fan of this organization. when Steven says that he wants to re-sign Dak Prescott, and when Grandpa makes those comments. Grandpa, why don't you focus on dealing with what's going on in court right now and your paternity test? And that's my rant. Yeah. Dude, you go focus on that paternity test.
You're mad.
James, it is so irritating. I mean, it is agitating. This franchise, I mean, name one fucking thing that is more agitating than the Dallas Cowboys sports franchise, especially in the offseason, how they refuse to do it. Look at the vein coming out of my arm right now. It is that agitating. Like, name something more agitating than this franchise and how they refuse to get better or do anything in free agency.
The fat on my ass.
Okay, yeah, that's agitating. The fat in my stomach too. No, bro, it's so irritating.
No, I get your point.
It's so irritating. Like, and just little comments like that, like,
I mean,
are irritating. Like,
I mean, it's the same thing I've talked about all the time. The Joneses are comfortable with periodic above average mediocrity because it's a branding and marketing business and not a football team at this point.
Yeah, they don't care anymore. It's like they don't care. It's like, but
as long as they are relatively competitive, they're okay with it.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to win. They don't. And honestly, dude, as a person, super nice guy, but Steven telling me, us, the fan base, that he wants to re-sign Prescott to an even bigger contract. It just goes to show me that he doesn't want to have weapons, running backs, receivers, linemen, or even a competent quarterback to go win. It's just like, it's irritating. Not even to get a receiver, bro, like in free agency. Like, you can't even do that. Like, it's beyond irritating. And then I will let you speak. How Steven, I think it was yesterday, came out and admitted that he should have gotten more out of the Amari Cooper trade. Geez, you think? Now you say that after the fact? A little bit too little, too late, idiot. Ugh, that's.
Duh.
I'm done. I've made my peace. I've made my peace. Until next week.
The last thing I wanted to say is Formula One is back.
It is. Drive to Survive.
It's Rawseek. Raweeceek. If you understand the reference, I love you. No, it is race week. Week number 1, Bahrain. Our Lord and Savior Max Verstappen is going to rule the world again. Dude. The Red Bull is looking very, very strong once again, and that excites me. And Mercedes will shit down their pants once again this year.
One of my friends at the Londoner, who's a member of Liverpool Football Club, Dallas, fan base with me, he absolutely hates Max Verstappen. He calls him an arrogant, pompous asshole.
Who is he a fan of?
He is a Mercedes guy.
Of course he is. But he loves that prick George Russell.
Yeah, he likes. There was one other guy.
But he loved watching Lewis Hamilton win every race for 8 years straight.
He likes. Actually, no, he's not a Lewis Hamilton fan.
Honestly, I'm at the point where I don't mind Lewis Hamilton. I was just like frustrated for the longest time because I was like, he won everything for 8 straight years, just like Mercedes did. And I was like, okay, buddy, it's time for somebody else to do something. So I'm actually at the point where it's like, hey, if Hamilton wins a race, it'd actually be kind of fun now, since Red Bull won 17 out of 22 races last year.
And he hates Red Bull. He hates the team.
I love me some Red Bull. but I think Max will win it again this year. Red Bull just looks so strong again. Ferrari, I think, will be more consistent strategy-wise now that they have a new team principal, which I think that'll bring them closer to the top. Fun. But yeah, I struggle with George Russell a little bit because he's an annoying prick to me. Just he'll do some stupid dive move and then blame the other driver. And I'm like, what the fuck did you expect?
Right?
Like there's one where, the turn in there's a turn in Austria where he's clearly drifting outside, and he hits Sergio Perez and blames it on him for turning into him. Like, dude, no, you're drifting off the track. I can tell. There's another one, still George Russell and Sergio Perez. He dive bombs him in France, and he's like, he closed the door. And I'm like, dude, he was ahead and he's on the racing line. You fucking dive bombed a gap that was not there. You're an idiot. But that's just me. Maybe he'll be a little bit more mature this year. We'll see. But that's what it is. Bahrain this Sunday. We get another fun trip. Hey, by the way, you want to fly me to Vegas for that race this year?
Oh, dude, there's a very good chance of that. I can do that. I might also be able to hook you up with a ticket. So we'll see.
Let's go.
I know, right? Might have to make a.
But that's episode 21 of Going the JC Route. I'm JC. That's AJ Brock. The Birdman is out.
Was here in spirit.
He flew away. Hopefully the gang will be back next week. We enjoyed our catch up with our third wheel that finally returned. Y'all stay good to each other. Have a great week. And that's right. You're a licensed commercial pilot now. We'll see you when we see you. See you next week.
As always, welcome.
Or don't. Horns down is fine too.